with the Scott Fishbowl live mock draft at the 1.8. I'm here with Kane Fossell. Find him at Debbie_Kane and at DLF. How you doing tonight?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you?
Awesome, man. Well, we're getting the Scott Fishbowl now. You been in it before?
Yeah, I was in last year. I take my role pretty seriously. So my goal is to draft every person that's going to get hurt in the coming year, and then I just really try to help everyone else in my division.
So you had one of those years?
Oh yeah, everyone I drafted last year got hurt. Like if you think of anyone that got hurt, who's on my team. At 107, I drafted David Johnson. So that's how it started.
I started with Love Bell, so I feel your pain. He wasn't hurt, but he might as well have been.
It went downhill so quickly.
Please tell me to get luck.
Yeah, I think I did. He was my second round pick.
Awesome.
Yeah, I was doing really well.
Yeah, he ruined it for everybody.
It was literally, if you think of everyone that got hurt last year, James Conner was on my team. There were just a ton of people that got hurt just repeatedly, and it's like, yep, they're on my team. So I did very poorly.
Yeah, I had a very similar season, so I get it. How you feeling about it this season going in? No injuries, anything yet.
So I like the rules this year. I think it really gives credence to a different kind of quarterback that is really going to be different, right? Because you want guys that that complete passes at a high rate, and because what you need 2 completions to cancel out an incompletion.
Yeah.
So you need a guy that's going to throw about 66%. So all of a sudden, people like Drew Brees and Derek Carr somehow have a lot of value. I think Derek Carr is the one quarterback that doesn't get talked about that much.
Yeah, I've been kind of just holding him in my back pocket. I was hoping nobody was to bring him up on the show. But yeah,
but if you look at him, what was he, second in throwing percentage last year in accuracy? He repeatedly has good numbers because he doesn't have a high ADOT. It's the exact same thing with Drew Brees.
Yeah.
So we might as well take guys like that and just hope that them throwing for the percentage that they do at least cancels out the amount of, or the less yardage that they throw for compared to some other guys.
And he had a real quiet 4,000-yard season with throwing to scrubs.
Yeah, Tyrell Williams, your top guy that's hurt half the time. Yeah,
he's looking in better shape right now already.
Yeah, so I'm a fan of him, and I think just overall, if you follow Peter Howard, he did some work yesterday just talking about out of the top. If we take the same scoring as last year, it's super, super even.
Yeah.
So I really like that, the way that Scott puts it together. He does a really nice job of making people that you wouldn't think to be valuable extremely valuable in some situations.
Yeah, I love it. It makes best player available a real thing.
Well, and it also gives bell cow running backs that don't catch the ball value.
Yeah. And that's something we haven't really talked about on here yet. It gives them a lot of value. I like that.
Yeah, because every rushing first down is 0.5 points. So if we just take Zeke last year, he had, 78 rushing first downs. So that gives him an extra 39 points just on the ground. Over a season, that's pretty nice.
Yeah, that's huge, especially on a game-to-game basis when you're trying to squeak those out.
Right, and that averages to just a little over 2 points a week.
Yeah.
Sure, it's not a whole lot, but if you also have a Chris Carson on your team, all of a sudden you could be winning weeks by that margin that you just win in rushing first downs. So it at least gives credence to those guys that I think that don't catch the ball as much, like the old school backs. If somehow, let's say that A.J. Dillon becomes the lead back in Green Bay, he would just get a whole lot of points just because of these rushing first downs.
Yeah, he'd definitely be a short yardage guy there. I feel like even a Zach Moss could do that as well.
Don't talk about him.
I'm not a fan either, but
No.
I feel like his role will be that short yard thing.
Oh, for sure. And I think, and that just kind of adds into the whole idea of like the COVID-19 issue of when do you start taking backup running backs because someone might be out. Like, if they get it, the running back's out for 2 weeks. If that's the starting running back, you could have instant value in a Reggie Bonifon.
Yeah.
Like someone that you would never think would have value, but all of a sudden has 2 weeks of value just because of the coronavirus. And then what happens that next week back?
Yeah,
is the bell cow actually going to become the bell cow again, or are there going to be more of a timeshare at the running back position? So it's going to be really, really interesting to see how this pandemic, if and when we do have a football season, just how that all works together. Because I think that's just going to be a cluster.
Yeah, we only say when on this show. There's no if. We're exuding confidence.
Yeah, but like in my heart, it's when, but in my brain, it's if. Like, and it's the whole like mind versus brain, or the mind versus heart method.
I know, man. I'm trying to be positive through that. So far in the draft, it's started out pretty chalk. We went McCaffrey 1, Mahomes 2, Lamar 3, Barkley 4, Kamara 5, Zeke 5, Kamara 6, and then right before you hit 7, we had Russell Wilson. Give me a few names you're considering here at 108.
So the obvious one right away, tight ends still have a whole lot of value. So you have a guy like George Kittle that instantly has value. Travis Kelce can immediately be in the conversation just for the amount of passes that he catches. Some other guys that I would be looking at, Dalvin Cook, provided that he doesn't hold out, and I know you have strong feelings about that one. That's another guy that could really excel. And then, you can't argue Michael Thomas and Devontae Adams. They're two amazing wide receivers. You're still getting half a point per reception or per receiving first down. So those are obviously going to have a ton of points. Michael Thomas is going to be a bigger helper when it comes to the first downs. Like those are really going to boost him up just because of the low ADOT that Drew Brees has compared to Aaron Rodgers, who saw a career low in ADOT last year. So yeah, I think there's a few guys that are here, and this is
it's a turning point of the draft right here. Like it gets hard.
Yeah, and I know I don't know if I want to give away my secrets yet.
But division's not listening.
So one guy that keeps coming up for me is Josh Jacobs. Because I think there's a really, really strong possibility that Josh Jacobs could lead the league in rushing this year. Okay. And, 1,400 yards isn't out of the question for Josh Jacobs. You add in the half point per rushing first down, he becomes very, very valuable. The way that Gruden runs an offense, he needs a strong run game. He's needed that his whole career. Obviously, we're going to run into the issues of, he doesn't catch the ball as much. And I don't know if that's going to change. But in this format, I don't know if it needs to.
Okay.
Obviously, receptions are more valuable. I get that. But knowing that the rushing first downs also give you points, like that's at least helping, like kind of even the gap between some pass catchers and some people running the ball.
Yeah, and who's to say we saw him catch well in college,
right?
So
that's really all he did.
Yeah. So what if they incorporate it in the offense and they had a deep threat now and Ruggs?
Yeah, and I think one thing that hindered him last year, right, is he was starting to get more of the backfield. Then boom, he got hit with that dehydration thing versus the Vikings. Then it carried into the next game, and I think that's just tough for a rookie too to be battling through. And then you add on, just playing in a different type of atmosphere, playing in the NFL that plays much faster than even in the SEC, which is obviously one of the better conferences in college football. So I think there's always a chance that Josh Jacobs is going to succeed, but then we play this fun game of so at the 108, is there a chance he comes back to the 205? And I think that's where you kind of have to read the room, because the 108 is a pickle.
It really
there's a clear top 7. So really, I'm just hoping that someone takes a tight end in the top 7.
Yeah, I agree. It gets a little rough here.
Yeah. So do I actually have to make a pick now?
You do have to make a pick.
I don't know who I'm going to pick. What? My wife is just looking at me. She wants to know who I'm going to pick too.
She wants to make the pick.
No, I don't think she's going to do any better than I am. Well, probably will, to be honest. So I don't know if I just want to go safe or go bold. Like, now that I've talked through the options, like, I could see myself going any direction. Like, and I'd be perfectly okay with it. Do you have thoughts here?
I think it's Michael Thomas or Dalvin for me, but it just depends how safe I want to be. I know receivers don't score as much as the running backs, but you got to start 3 still.
Right. And, there's so much talk about that you really need to go running back early just in a lot of these redraft leagues. And, I get the concern. I totally get that. And what's been weird to me is I've seen Devontae Adams fall to the 2nd in a lot of drafts.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's a chance that I could go running back then wide receiver, and with a wide receiver like Devontae Adams, I think that's a really, really strong team.
Yeah. Even there's a couple other receivers you get on that come round too who are solid.
Yeah, if you end up with, Dalvin Cook and DeAndre Hopkins is also pretty nice. Dalvin Cook, Tyreek Hill, yeah. Or even a tight end and a wide receiver, a tight end and a running back coming back around is a nice pairing. I don't see the need to go quarterback here, so I kind of got that at least taken out, because I think it's just the top 2 for me, and I don't know what I want to do with the rest of them.
Yeah.
I know I've taken Russell Wilson at some mocks at the 108, but I'm not even confident in that anymore. What's that?
You went 107.
Yeah, that's just a tough spot. Did I stall enough?
You're good.
So
I like your thought process, though.
Yeah, so I think I'm going running back, just knowing that that I do need one, and they're the ones that score the most points coming out of the first round. So that has me down between Josh Jacobs, Dalvin Cook, and Joe Mixon. So I want a guy that's going to be a big part of the offense, both catching the ball and running the ball. And that's really going to be the focal point in the offense. And there's only one guy that actually is the focal point of that offense, and that's Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook is such a difference maker to the Vikings offense. You saw it, right? The last couple games in the season, just how much of a difference it is having Alexander Mattison in there, who I still love his talent, but having him in there versus Dalvin Cook, it was just a whole different game. So, I'm going to take Dalvin Cook, and I assume he's not going to hold out, just knowing how much money he's going to lose. He can actually end up losing more than he could make this year.
Yeah.
About $500,000 in that regard. So I'm gonna take Dalvin Cook. He's just such a big part of the offense. Minnesota already locked up Kirk Cousins, so the chances they're also going to lock up Dalvin Cook is actually pretty high, knowing that they're going to be able to make a run in the next 2 years.
Yeah, and I like that you actually brought it up that he is a significantly better piece in that offense than Madison, because I feel like a lot of people think it's a thing you can just pull a cog out and put one in. He is electric. And
right, and if we look historically of Gary Kubiak, that 100% makes sense. Right, historically, Gary Kubiak could turn any running back into a big piece. C.J. Anderson ran for 1,007 yards for the Broncos. Like, these guys were just churning out yards, and like I totally understand that and I get that. But at the same time, we really have to be cognizant of where the game is changing to today, and just the amount of passes that came out of the Minnesota backfield to running backs. And it's clear that Dalvin Cook's just a big part of that team, and I think he just catches passes so much better than Alexander Mattison does. So that's one reason why I really do want to focus on Dalvin Cook in this draft, because I think he's just an elite player, and he's going to continue to be an elite player.
I agree. Now, comes around the second round, a couple of the good receivers there. Josh Jacobs is there. Are you going to double tap the running backs?
Yeah.
Or are you? Huh?
I am. It also depends what quarterbacks are there in the second round. If for some reason Drew Brees is there at the 205, I'm probably going to take Drew Brees.
I'd laugh because every single episode, every single person, no matter what pick they were, from 101 now to 108, has wanted Drew Brees in the second round.
Well,
and I'm saying how futile it is for the people at the 101 like me who think that he's going to be there.
You're never going to get Drew Brees.
I know, and everybody thinks that for some reason, but he's never going to make it.
In SFB 10, I think you have a better chance of landing Kyler Murray at the 212 than you do.
The Drew Brees secret.
Than you do Drew Brees. What's that?
The Drew Brees secret is not a secret.
Yeah, and I think just the other quarterback, not that I'm going to take him in the second round, but the other quarterback that I would even that I'm kind of bullish on for a variety of different reasons is Jared Goff.
I like that.
Jared Goff, the past 2 seasons, so 2 seasons ago, he threw for 64.9% completion percentage. This past year, 62.9. So really just barely under that 66% that's actually going to bring you even. But he's also consistently throwing for 4,600 yards. Mm-hmm. So each of the past 2 seasons, 4,600 yards with Sean McVay. So that's just a guy I want on my team. They're going to put up yardage. Yeah. Like, it's going to happen. They're a high-octane offense. The way that Sean McVay does run the offense is going to score points. And I think if we look at I think Scott Barrett put out the really great article about looking at upside, guys that have upside. And I think Jared Goff has as much upside in the middle rounds as any quarterback. Yeah,
he is a value, and I haven't even really thought about him that much. I like that a lot.
So those are the 3 quarterbacks that I'm really looking at. Also, Kirk Cousins, he's always going to throw for a good completion percentage, provided the Dalvin Cook's back. I think he's going to have a very quiet, good season, and he's not going to hurt you.
No, and that's fine.
Right.
Especially as your second quarterback position.
Yeah.
And looking at how do you want to construct your roster, kind of, for the first few? Like, what's your plan? Do you want to go heavy running back, or how do you want to do that?
I would assume, so through the first 4 rounds, I would assume I have, if all things were even, right, and there wasn't a huge quarterback run, wasn't a huge wide receiver or running back run, I also just don't think a wide receiver run can happen with just how great the wide receivers are right now, because everyone's thinking, I can just get them later. So there isn't going to be a run there that I'm going to be worried about. It's more at the running back and the quarterback position. So I think I come away with, through the first 4 rounds, at least 1 quarterback, probably 2 running backs and 1 wide receiver, and probably not taking that wide receiver until the 3rd or the 4th round would be how I would normally. That's kind of been my strategy up till this point, but everything's going to change as soon as the draft starts.
I know. And what are you thinking for tight end? Are you going to kind of punt it on late round 1, or?
It's a good question. I haven't gotten that far into my strategy. I think there's some tight ends that are going to be worthwhile and that are going to be a little more expensive. A little more cheap. So I'm probably not going to take the chance on a George Kittle, Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, but I really want to see where Zach Ertz is actually going to go. Because I think Zach Ertz actually starts to get interesting because you're going to hear the argument, Dallas Goedert's going to take away work. All the new wide receiver additions that they got are going to take away work from Zach Ertz. And it's probably not going to happen.
No, I agree.
And Zach Ertz isn't a deep down the field guy anymore. He does really well picking up first downs, and that's exactly what you want in a tight end in this format.
Yeah, and he's kind of being slept on.
So that's one guy, but I don't think I would take him within the first 5 rounds. Maybe round 5, depending on the board's shaking out. If he's still there, and I don't like any of the quarterbacks or running backs on the board, I might go. I might go tight end. Other guys that I'm liking, obviously Hayden Hurst.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a chance for him, and probably the guy that I'm going to end up buying, no matter what, is Jared Cook. Jared Cook's still going to put up a good season. He's still going to catch passes. He's going to get, a good amount of targets. So I don't understand why we're sleeping on him, because he actually put up an okay season last year. He ended up with 65 targets, 43 catches, 705 yards, 9 touchdowns.
Yeah, that's a good year. I think the dynasty mindset trickles into redraft a lot nowadays.
Yep.
And those older guys who still produce, just forget about them.
Yeah, and I get that, right? So they're guys that are probably going to have a higher chance of injury that comes with age. I get that. There's a higher chance that Emmanuel Sanders could eat into some of that over-the-middle work that Jared Cook has been known to just live off of. But I think he's going to be going so late. His ADP right now is 124. So what, the 1004?
Yeah, that's beautiful.
That's not a bad price point. Other guys that I could be looking at the tight end position really isn't until much later, and that's a guy like Greg Olsen.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably grab Greg Olsen and double up with Will Disley if I haven't really taken tight ends up to this point, and make sure I lock down that Seattle tight end, because they're going to have some value.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And last question. Who's a late round guy you're looking at?
I felt like I just gave you so many.
I mean, I'll take the tight. If you don't want to give another one, you did get really deep with that.
No, do you want a running back or a wide receiver?
Either one. Somebody you like.
You pick.
Give me a running back.
Okay. So Ronald Jones. I love Ronald Jones. I think there's a higher chance that Ronald Jones takes away some of the valuable touches away from Keyshawn Vaughn. Not to mention that ADP actually has Keyshawn Vaughn going ahead of Ronald Jones right now.
That's crazy.
That's at least in MFL, so that's obviously dynasty skewed for sure. But I think Ronald Jones is a value. I think I'm fading all rookie running backs at this point.
I get it.
Mainly because in Scott Fishbowl, it's so important to start off well, because you need to be scoring those points quickly, and the rookies just aren't going to do it, and it's sometimes too difficult to be able to piecemeal running backs that are actually going to have worthwhile weeks while you're waiting for the J.K. Dobbins to potentially take over from Mark Ingram or Cam Akers to really find full control of the backfield. So that's one guy I'd be looking at. Another guy that I would for sure be looking at is Phillip Lindsay. Like, I guarantee you I will be drafting Phillip Lindsay in every time I get the chance. If he comes around, like, if he gets the chance to come to me in, the 12th round, really even the 10th round, I would probably take the chance on Phillip Lindsay, just knowing that he was actually better with the ball in his hands than Melvin Ingram or Melvin Gordon was, rather. So I'll take the chance on him and just hope that that he gets the chance in the backfield. Who knows?
I love it. Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on. Tell everybody where they can find you, what you're working on, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter at Devi_Kane. We're doing really fun stuff at the Devi Marketplace, which is our podcast over there. It's just mainly talking about nonsense and making sure nonsense gets talked about all the time on podcasts. So it's really more focused on fun than it is on football half the time. We really like to split it up, half nonsense, half football. So yeah, it just makes it a little more fun. We all listen to podcasts that are really strict football content and don't really stray from those bounds. And there is a place for those, and don't get me wrong, those really strategical podcasts, they really get into the nitty gritty. But at the same time, we just want to be different and we just want to have fun. At the end of the day, it's just two friends that enjoy talking football together, just doing it in front of a microphone.
It's awesome.
So, yeah, and then I work over at, I write for DLF. I'm a Devi writer over there, really working on, I'm about to finish my series on 2020 recruiting. Then I'll be moving on to the 2021 recruiting as some of these guys start signing. So it's interesting, yeah.
You're on it then. That's awesome. Well, really appreciate you coming on. I promised you 10 minutes. We went well over that. And I really appreciate you dropping some knowledge on there. Thank you. And we'll be back again for the 109 here soon. Everybody have a great night.
All right. Thanks, man.